Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast. Today, we're tackling a question that's likely on many of your minds, especially since some of you asked us to look into it. Is Tucows a good time to buy right now? We've gathered a stack of detailed analysis and insights into this company, and well, we're going to unpack it all for you to help you become better informed. Before we dive into the details, if you find this discussion helpful, please remember to subscribe, like, and comment. Your support really helps us bring you more analyses like this one. Also, if you're enjoying our content and want to support us further, maybe consider buying us a coffee. And if there's a specific company you'd like us to look into, just leave a comment below after we wrap up today's topic. Okay, let's unpack this. Tucows operates in some, interesting spaces. Domain registration, fiber internet, and communication software. But the real question is, what do the numbers and trends actually tell us about its investment potential?
Yeah, what's fascinating here is that while many companies might look promising on the surface, a closer look at the fundamentals often reveals a very different story. We're going to examine Tucows from several angles today, giving you a comprehensive picture, fundamental analysis, peeling back the layers of Tucows' financials.
So let's start with the basics. Revenue and earnings. What does Tucows' financial report card look like?
Okay, so if we look at the trailing 12 months, Tucows reported revenue of $378.47 million. That sounds like a decent number, right? But here's where it gets really interesting. They also reported a TTM net loss of $95.54 million, which gives them a net profit margin of negative 25.24%.
Oof, minus 25%.
Exactly. And while revenue did increase by 6.76% year over year in 2024, those losses actually deepened by 14.2%. Even the recent quarterly results for Q2 2025 showed a per-share loss of $1.41. Now, that is an improvement from a $1.70 loss in Q2 2024, but, well, they're still losing money, still not profitable.
Right, negative profit margin and deepening losses, even with revenue going up. That raises a pretty important question about their financial health, doesn't it? What's the bigger picture here? Is this sustainable?
Well, this definitely raises an important question about sustainability. And their debt-equity ratio, it stands at a concerning negative 496.4%.
Wait, negative? Minus 496%.
Yes, negative. It indicates extremely high leverage, where total liabilities significantly outweigh total equity. Actually, it means the equity is negative. Consistent negative earnings and cash flow, along with no dividends being paid out, these are definitely red flags regarding long-term solvency. And future earnings projections, according to Simply Walsing, for instance, they remain negative. They give it a 0 out of 6 score for future growth. Basically, no positive earnings growth expected.
Wow, okay. That negative debt to equity is really something. So given these financial points, how does Tucows even stack up against its competitors in the market? They seem stretched thin.
Yeah, they operate in 3 pretty distinct segments: domain registration, fiber internet through Ting, and communication software with Wavelo. Domain registration is, a mature and competitive space. You've got giants like GoDaddy. The fiber segment, Ting, while potentially growing, requires huge capital investment, just massive amounts of cash. So the company's competitive advantage is really limited by a lack of scale, those persistent losses we just talked about, and that extremely high leverage. 2, valuation metrics. What does the market think it's worth?
Okay, with those fundamentals, I'm really curious about the valuation now. What do the standard ratios tell us? And, why should you, our listener, care about these numbers?
Well, like we said, Tucows has negative earnings, so traditional metrics like the PE ratio aren't available. You just can't calculate it. However, if we look at the price to sales, or PS ratio, with a market cap of around $205 million and TTM sales of $378 million, it comes out to roughly 0.54.
0.5. That sounds low for tech, doesn't it?
It is lower than many tech peers, yeah. And that reflects the market's skepticism, It's because of the ongoing losses and the financial health issues we mentioned.
So that low PS doesn't automatically mean it's a bargain, right? It could just mean the market sees the risk. What about other valuation models?
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. Discounted cash flow models, relative valuation models. They aren't painting a favorable picture either. Simply Walsent, for example, gives Tucows just a 2 out of 6 score on valuation. That suggests very little margin of safety relative to the inherent risk involved here. Forecasts indicate that any significant appreciation, if it happens, might only occur beyond 2030. And that's only if the business fundamentals dramatically improve. Big if. 3, technical analysis, the price action and trend.
All right, let's shift gears a bit to the technical side. What has the stock price actually been doing recently? What's the chart telling us about short-term movements?
Okay, so Tucows is traded in a 52-week range between $13.27 and $24.02. Right now, it's kind of sitting in the $18 to $20 range, but over the past 10 days, the price has actually declined by nearly 9.4%. It's quite a drop.
Almost 10% in 10 days.
Yeah. Though it did see a gain of about 2.97% on the very last trading day. But, one day doesn't make a trend. Short-term support seems to be around the $18 mark, with resistance up at maybe $21 to $24. Now, there's an expected 3-month range cited in some places between $26.98 and $30.98. But honestly, that appears to be a pretty bullish outlier compared to the prevailing negative trend we're seeing. I wouldn't hang my hat on that.
So what does that mean for the overall trend and volatility? Is it trending down hard?
The short-term technical trend is definitely downwards. Those frequent recent declines really indicate a lack of momentum, a lack of buying interest. The stock's beta is 0.82, which, historically anyway, suggests it's less volatile than the overall market. But individual trading days have shown increased fluctuations recently, so maybe less volatile on paper over the long term, but definitely feeling choppy day to day right now. 4. Recent news and sentiment. What's the word on the street?
Okay, so fundamentals are weak. Valuation reflects that. Technicals look negative. Are analysts talking about Tucows at all? Or is there any significant news that could sway sentiment?
Well, interestingly, there hasn't been any significant analyst coverage lately. No major upgrades or downgrades making headlines.
Silence isn't always golden, huh?
Sometimes it speaks volumes, yeah. However, the consensus among technical analysts, the chart watchers, has shifted from buy to sell. And that's because of those deteriorating technical signals we just discussed. Social media and broader sentiment seem neutral to negative. There's not a lot of retail enthusiasm or buzz around the stock right now, via upcoming catalysts. What could change the trajectory?
Okay, so for investors maybe looking for those potential turnaround stories, are there any short-term or long-term catalysts that could actually make a difference for Tucows? What could change things?
Well, in the short term, the next earnings report in early August 2025 will be key. Everyone will be watching that, though, like we said, current projections still anticipate losses. So it would likely need a big surprise.
Like maybe better than expected cost-cutting or subscriber numbers?
Exactly. Any major network expansion for Ting, a new significant partnership, or really aggressive cost-cutting initiatives could alter sentiment, but none are confirmed right now. Long term, the hope really hinges on successful execution and actually achieving profitability in their fiber ISP segment, Ting, and the software segment, Wavelo. That's the core turnaround story. Sector consolidation could play a role, maybe changes in domain registration rules, or a potential M&A scenario where Tucows gets acquired could offer a premium, but again, no current rumors suggesting that's imminent. 6. Risk factors, the elephant in the room.
Let's talk about risk more directly. It feels like we've touched on a lot already. For you, the listener, what are the absolute primary concerns with Tucows, the big flashing lights?
Yeah, the most significant stock-specific risks are definitely those sustained and sizable losses, coupled with that extremely high leverage shown by the negative debt-equity ratio. That really raises the specter of financial distress. It's serious.
That negative equity again.
Exactly. Plus, they just lack the scale to compete effectively against the bigger players and all their different business segments. They're spread thin and outgunned. Then you have broader market and sector risks, general tech sector volatility, potential changes in broadband or internet regulations that could affect Ting, and macro risks like interest rates are also very relevant given their big debt burden. Higher rates make that debt harder to manage. 7. Final investment thesis summary. So what does this all mean?
So after all that analysis, putting it all together, what's the bottom line here? What's our overall rating, and what should someone considering Tucows really take away?
Well, our overall assessment, weighing everything, would give Tucows a rating of 3 out of 10.
3 out of 10. Pretty low.
It is. The negatives are quite substantial. Those ongoing net losses, the highly leveraged capital structure, which is a major risk, the negative technical trend, generally poor fundamental health, and the lack of a strong competitive moat. Now, to be fair, on the positive side, revenue is showing some modest growth. That's something. And long-term forecasts do suggest potential for significant appreciation if, and again, it's a huge if, the company manages to turn profitable and really improve its margins. The current valuation might look cheap relative to sales at PS of 0.54, but honestly, this seems largely justified by the operational and financial headwinds and the huge execution risk involved in any turnaround.
So that low rating, the big if, this raises an important question for our listeners. What kind of investment horizon or investor type is appropriate for a stock like this, if any?
Good question. For short-term trading, it's just not attractive. The negative trend, weak momentum, there's significant downside risk near term. For long-term investment, it's very, very speculative. This is really only for investors with a very high risk tolerance. People who are specifically betting on a successful, maybe unlikely turnaround, or who believe strongly in sector tailwinds lifting all boats, even leaky ones. Otherwise, for most investors, it would probably be prudent to avoid it until you see clear signs of profitability and a much healthier balance sheet emerge. The risks just seem too high right now. Outro. If we connect this back to the bigger picture, Tucows really highlights how crucial it is to look beyond just, say, revenue growth or a seemingly low PS ratio, the underlying financial health, the competitive landscape, and especially that debt structure. They tell a far more complete story about a company's true prospects and, importantly, its risks.
Absolutely. It's a good reminder that sometimes a seemingly cheap stock comes with a very high hidden cost in terms of risk. Not all bargains are actually bargains. So for you, our listener, the key takeaway here is really the importance of doing that thorough, multifaceted analysis before making any investment decisions. Don't just look at one number. And the provocative thought for you to mull over is this. How do you personally weigh the allure of potential long-term growth, that turnaround story, against the undeniable realities of short-term financial distress and high leverage in your own investment philosophy? Something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this look at Tucows, and we'll catch you next time on Investing Talk Podcast.